talking about the kids today, man. I think this is important. I think it's a really important conversation to have because, like, with us being so caught up on what we got going on and how to put food on the table and trying to navigate the world our oppressors have created and entrapped us in, right? We kind of forget about what we need to do to pass the torch, right? I also often like to talk to my brother and like even some other people that's older than me to kind of like talk about like that torch. You know what I mean? That this metaphorical torch that's being passed down from generation to generation. I like the way the conversation how the conversation usually happens between me and my brother and some of these other guys is the generation before us was like essentially the information gatherers, right? The generation before them was the ones that actually lived through this experience, right? And going dating as far back as when we land on Plymouth or when Plymouth Rock landed on us, right? So we're essentially at I would say a crossroad where something is gonna have to happen. And if we're not at least at the very least having a conversation about who our oppressors are and what they're trying to do to the generations after us, then we're essentially going to be swept along and used, abused, and tossed to the side, right? This podcast is that it's essentially us fighting back, right? The information gatherers, what I would call, I would identify as Generation X, is passing that torch down to us for us to create these podcasts, for us to have these conversations, and to be the bridge that bridges the gap between what their lived experiences and what they're gonna have to do in order for us to, as a people, I mean, see the promised land, right? And which truly means just make it, right? But first of all, I need to admit I may not be the best person to have this conversation with, as I'm not a parent. With that understanding, I do not share the lived experience conventional parents receive via lived experience, but also I'm aware of the difficulty structuring a plan that can encompass all the parents and the limits amalgamations of variables. However, that will not stop us from having this conversation, nor should it you. With critical thinking, we can come up with solutions that can, to some extent, generally be beneficial to every parent. I want to start off with a simple question, right? What would y'all say to be the biggest problems or among the biggest problems concerning the young black peoples of today?
Ladies first.
Oh, that's fine. I'll go. I think that the biggest problem is that these children. First off, we did it. We did it to our own kids, and they're entitled, and we made them entitled. So basically, what we did was, it was a lot of people that didn't quote unquote have this and that, and we wanted so bad for our children to have better than us, and we didn't instill any kind of work ethic for them to get to those things. We just gave it to them. They don't have to do nothing. Look, it's kids 2 and 3 out here with phones. Why do they need a phone? When are they ever with somebody? When are they ever in a place with somebody that doesn't have a phone?
Real quick, how did we manage without those phones? I didn't get my first phone until I was 13.
I didn't get my first phone until I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, I didn't get one until I was like 14.
You know what I'm saying?
And Zach begging for a phone. And she bought him a phone. I was so appalled. Like, what do you need a phone for? He just want to play games on it. So what? He got games at the
and it's because what we be trying, because a lot of times what they trying to do is just you giving them something so they can get out your face.
Yeah, because he wants your phone. And he be so serious, like, Daddy, I need the iPhone. Like, I said, bro, you ain't got nobody to talk to.
Exactly.
He talked to all his friends on Xbox, don't he?
Yeah, but it's just he believes he needs a phone. And then he knows the difference. You give him the little cheap little Android phone. He look like, nah, man.
It's the entitlement thing. It's just like Josie said. It's entitlement. Yeah.
I mean, he believes he's supposed to, he be watching YouTube saying, hey, bro, it's 49 places in America that's beautiful, Daddy.
That's another bag of worms. It's like they're exposed to the world and all that stuff, and they want to see it for themselves, but they don't necessarily
take to achieve to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think entitlement is like more of a symptom. Like, I'm a little bit older than probably all the participants. And so my view is a little different. I'm like I stated earlier, I'm a boomer. So you see the changes societal that create the very issues that you all just described. Like, and that comes from people who make the policies, which is your politicians, and other influences from previous eras. Everything is so disconnected in our community generation to generation. I don't agree with the intro that this generation did this and passed it. They didn't pass anything.
Oh, really?
In my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the guy who owned Jet and Ebony, Mr. Johnson, for example, he's known as a very strong-willed boss. You look at people like Danny Davis, old heads.
A strong-winded boss. I think I need you to kind of go in. What does that mean?
It's his way and no other way.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that amazing?
It was not open for discussion. It was just, it's this way and nothing else. And he did outstanding during that era with respect to what he accomplished, because it wasn't a lot of opportunities. But you look at a lot of the black politicians, who have they groomed for the next successor? Jesse White just left office, a very powerful office, a lot of good paying jobs with pension. Who did he groom of color to replace that? Bobby Rush can't hardly talk. Who has he groomed to take that position so that if you consider that accomplishments of black folks with respect to these positions, who's going to take over from our neighborhood? That's the issue to me, because then you eliminate some of the foolishness, lack of opportunity, because those are power positions that. But Jesse White is over 1,000 jobs. Tony Pretwinkle is over, and she's still in the position at the county, but she controls over 15,000 jobs. Then you ain't got brothers and sisters out here hustling, standing on the corner, because you can get a job that not only got Social Security, but a pension. Mm-hmm. So I think there's been a huge disconnect that goes back to slavery, and that different generations look at what's popping in their dispensation or their era. And a lot of times I think the blame gets misplaced because it's not something that we created. It's something we have to endure and live through. Like I mean, this was before my time. There was a time they didn't let black folks play professional sports. But soon as we get in the game, they always changing the rules. They did it with Tiger. They did it with the Williams sisters. They did it with everybody in the NFL and the NBA. George Halas, the one they call Papa Bear Halas, he's one of the creators of the NFL. In the 30s, he voted blacks out from participating because he was just a racist. But they talk about him as if he was a godsend to the NFL. And he was horrible.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what we come through. And even today, I told you about the situation going on at my old high school, Lindblom. Lindblom is viewed as the black school in the black community, even though the board ain't never said Lindblom was about anything. But you got white teachers over there making money on the shorties, not really teaching nothing. Yeah. And then just saying, well, look what this so-and-so accomplished, but then they get to college and flunk out. And while they had good grades here in the city, which really weren't good grades relative to what colleges is looking for, same thing, same game they did with the charter schools. We graduated 100%, 90% of them young brothers flunk out of college.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Also, that same school you talking about with the 100%.
Urban
They will put kids out if they are not passing. That's how they maintain the 100%.
That's how they get the 100%. Any school.
Oh, wow.
So those were the games in order to push vouchers and continually mess up all the neighborhood schools. You know, when they was white, when these schools were predominantly white or mostly white, you could leave there, go get a good paying job, make a you could get a job right out of CVS and become an air traffic controller at the world's busiest airport when it was white. But they took all of that out.
They definitely took the vocation out of the schools. You could
They
come
took
out of
all
you
of
could
that
come out
trades
of you could come out of Hyde Park being a registered nurse.
You came out with a trade.
Yep.
You could come out of what's the one on 69th Street?
That's why I'm back. Like your grandmother and
Packer or
all your
Parker?
ancestors.
So Parker
before you
was
had
on
that type of
69th,
education.
and then it was Robeson, but both of them gone.
You could come out there with a teacher's certificate, teaching the school.
Yeah.
Why is it when everything becomes black or predominantly black, they take all the money and resources out and just throw a label on, talk about, well, look what these kids are doing.
Yeah, that's real racism.
That's how them taking away those vocations. That's how that's what put the black community in debt with
Good paying
college loans. That's when they started pushing college.
College loans.
College this.
good
You can't do nothing without college when
Yeah.
black people were legitimately taking care of their families
Yeah.
with their trades.
Yeah.
or a bunch of useless
Isn't that amazing?
social programs. Like I took this piece at Olive Harvey College. They had the Y2K piece, so they was pushing $65,000 a year jobs, $600. My instructor was a white boy. He was an alcoholic. He came an hour late to class every day. We did one chapter. I aced it. There were no jobs. I reported it to the dean. I had her come to class. They kept the money though. I had her come to class one day to see for herself what my plea was. They hyped it all on the news, everything. You start off making 65 G's. There were never no jobs. They took the money though.
Take the money,
you
waste
had-
your time. Go ahead.
Over the course of my life, you've had a bunch of programs like that dumped in the hood to say they was helping. Bishop Brazier, right down there on 63rd. I do the mentoring piece. I went down there to check out this robotics training program that they were offering. He got some money from the feds. I said, what are you teaching? What companies are hiring? Where are the jobs? The director didn't know.
Did not know.
I spoke to the director of the program. They didn't know. So it was a feel good. Just say they doing something for the community, and they have it. And we have a bunch of those.
So those votes will still come in.
But that sound like what college is.
It
They tell you to
depends.
go to college, and then you get a degree and you can make X amount of money. And then how many black people, have gone to college and put themselves in debt and have these college degrees and ain't even working in the field that they had a degree in?
I got 2 degrees. I've never worked in either field. But that's the hype that they've been doing for God knows when. But they never. Me and my boss has graduated Calumet. He went to Alabama A&M. I went to Prairie View and Oral Roberts. So he graduated. The black colleges were not accredited. So what does that mean when you get into the job market? Your salary is 40% less than somebody who went to like a Purdue or U of I or Stanford, just because it's not accredited. That's what Deion Sanders was tripping on down there. They ain't got no money.
Yeah.
So you got to check this stuff out. The problem is we don't have a network or institutions really that black folks can go down and see what this school is if it's accredited. Colleges work. What they have in our neighborhoods, our high schools just feeding into colleges to support them for the federal dollars. It's not about educating, just like charter schools.
That don't make no
It's
sense.
not about education.
Yeah.
It's about all charter schools are about tax write-off for whoever is the sponsor. They do not educate. And I'll
Bars.
They got pretty little buildings.
That's all it is. It's a scam.
It has to be.
But that's
Otherwise
what's
we-
pushing away the Chicago public schools. They're trying to push charter, and either private school. I mean,
Yeah, because them charter schools not unionized.
that's why.
Right. And see, what a lot of people forget, this is a union town. It's a union county, union state.
Yeah.
All the states that butt up against Illinois are what they call right to work. You got folks flying down there to Texas and Georgia. But this is what they don't understand or know about right to work. Yeah, you have a right to get any kind of job. But the jobs that they talking about is like Amazon, Walmart, which are what we have traditionally called high turnover. It's like McDonald's. It's low wage. It's no job security. It's no protection. Texas has the highest uninsured, unprotected, non-medical workers in the country. It's all Pizza Hut, Waffle House, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The real jobs, the real unions have never hired black folks. What saved us up in this part of the country was the government unions. But after Reagan, all that stuff changed. They outsourced all the jobs. So they have taken from people like you, me, working class. Since Ronald Reagan, real numbers, they done transferred $62 trillion from those type of jobs that we were accustomed to and privatized it and created your big box, what's that, Amazon stuff, which don't pay and don't protect anybody. The real jobs, and this was the kicker, how they sold it to the country. They said, we getting ready to move into the digital age, so we gonna create all these high-paying website producers. So they created Silicon Valley out on the West Coast.
Yeah,
they got the Triangle down in North Carolina, and they got that piece up there around Boston. They did nothing for Chicago, and this was the nation's manufacturing hub. So now you got brothers out here and sisters just hustling.
Yeah.
Because nothing, even now with the advent of AI, they ain't teaching AI classes in our schools.
Now, AI's about
go out to DuPage County and they teaching it.
And those AI jobs are going to be taking jobs of regular people.
They got all these brothers running in to get their CDL.
Yeah.
Them jobs about to go in about 5 years.
Really?
Walmart was already
robots.
Walmart already was using driverless trucks during the pandemic. But what they never talk about is when that truck come off the Dan Ryan and get ready to the dock, you got to have personnel there to
do that part, to open the doors,
the AI, and bring that truck to the dock. They not training nobody and Walmart opened a spot before they closed there on 83rd. They had a training center.
Yeah, it's still there. The school's still there.
It's closed.
Yeah.
They said they was losing $17 million. Why would you build a training center and you losing $17 million? That's just bad management of your money. So I don't believe the hype that they said why they left the neighborhood. That store on 83rd, for example, was very busy.
Yeah, it was. That's why
it was a terrible store. It should have been closed.
It was bad. It was badly managed.
It was.
But
the one they did in Homewood was bad. I mean, the one with Homewood over there by house, I think that's Homewood. That was a booming Walmart. I don't know why I believe they closed it for the casino.
Because like everybody else,
a casino.
Yeah, the casino they about to build a house on 167.
Interesting.
Whatever is put in our neighborhood, they always do. It was the max for the minimum theory back in the day. That's how they used to play it. In other words, we're gonna take the maximum dollar amount, but we're gonna give them minimum. You go in on weekends over there at 83rd Street, they never had enough terminals open. Line be down the aisle, but because we are humble people, so to speak, we don't complain, and some of us do. They did it the way they did it. And they took all the money. They killed all the small businesses that sold a lot of the same stuff that Walmart did. And then they got out of town right after all the incentives were out. And nobody cares. But that's straight out of the right to work state policy book. That's how they get down.
Yeah.
They come in, rape the community. We're gonna employ 800 people. But what they don't tell you is the people they employ after Christmas, they hire all these people for the holidays, then they fire them and hire a new crew, never raise the wages. Wages always stay low.
Yeah. Damn. And that's just one example of all that stuff.
That's just
happening.
one, but all of them are like that. Home Depot, Lowe's, everybody has the same game plan. What when last election, because I'm in Auburn Gresham, Alderman come around begging for your support. I said, Alderman, why should I support you? Nigga, I got you a Walmart and this, that. I said, I don't need an alderman to give me a sandwich shop or a Walmart. We need some good paying jobs so these brothers can get off the streets, stop terrorizing the community. They know what is needed. All you got to do is drive down any north-south street in Chicago. When you cross Roosevelt Road, it look like you're in a totally different city.
Yeah.
Because of the investment. They don't want to do anything south. Any and everything that's wrong, this investment in the schools, hospitals, entertainment center, you name it, it's nothing south and west. Everything is north or in the suburbs. That ain't by accident. But even the black leadership doesn't deal seriously with that issue. They want to talk about social program. Social programs dead in the water. Because that's usually the money is gobbled up by whoever the white boy done put it out there, and all we get is a bunch of bureaucracy and foolishness, and we never get anything accomplished.
Exactly. I mean, like I understand I understand like what they're going for with these social programs, doing like these programs, these YMCA's, all of this stuff that's funded for the kids. I get it, but like the most important thing, and especially in the capitalistic society that we're living in today, is the capital. You know what I'm saying? We need structures. We need
money. Right.
Yeah, we need all the we need the money, and especially if we're gonna make the money with our sweat. We need to be the prime beneficiaries of that money that or that wealth that we've accrued.
But you don't have leadership, and I'm specifically talking about black leadership.
Yeah.
Like we just had the city election. You saw who supported Vallis and why. They got 15,000. This one got 20,000. That was the only reason they threw their support behind Paul Vallis. You can vote for whoever you want to, but Paul Vallis is the reason the schools are in the condition they're in. That's his legacy. He created the program and accelerated the defunding of all the neighborhood schools. And so now he has his talking points that he tries to, well, you know, we did this and we did this down in New Orleans. He screwed up Philadelphia. He screwed up New Orleans. He screwed up Connecticut. But that's what they want to do. They want to take government money now and privatize it. That's why Bezos, is it Bezos?
Bezos, Amazon.
They gave this dude $2.5 billion of our taxpayers' money to implement programs that already used to be in the public schools, but he's the one who makes the call. So they already privatizing. They already doing, it's called the Southern Strategy. Mm-hmm. They're already implementing in our communities the Southern Strategy all over the nation. That's why every city you go to, Dallas, Houston, LA, New York, I've been to all these places, 27, Baltimore, Philly, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Every black neighborhood is identical. Atlanta, you pick it.
Exactly.
They don't want us. This is the most populous black county in the country, Cook County.
Yeah.
Why aren't they trying to attract more blacks to Chicago? There's no outrage from the political establishment, black or white. They're not trying to do anything but push us out. They nickel and dime you with red light cameras. All these other fees and fines.
Yeah.
They justifying destroying neighborhood. They'll take a neighborhood like Chatham or Fernwood. And I have nothing against Section 8. Section 8 is not the problem. It's how it was managed. But they'll bring a level of dysfunctionality into a community that they know it doesn't work. And they know they don't do in white neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And they'll dump this foolishness in the community and say, well, you know, we can't discriminate. You can't tell people where to live, but you can have structure so that the neighborhood doesn't get destroyed. Like where I used to live was a very nice neighborhood in the 70s. It's nothing over. It looks like Ukraine.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Brainerd Park, Auburn Gresham.
Yeah.
And then what? I mean, I'm confused on what you mean by like, are you saying that Section 8 shouldn't be allowed in certain neighborhoods?
No, what I'm saying is it should be administered the way it's administered every place else. What they do is take any level of issues and say, well, we can't discriminate, so we're going to sit it here, we're going to sit it there, we're going to do it there. They don't do that in white neighborhoods. You pick one. I can take you to anywhere in the 9 county metro area. The way it is administered is there's a filtering process. These are the rules. This is what we expect. They just put them in. They let Arabs and these Eastern Europeans set up houses who have no connection with the community or the culture. Mm-hmm. And so you bring in a lot of ratchetness, if I can say it that way. Because there are some beautiful people in Section 8. What they do is in our neighborhood, they just dump any and everything. It doesn't work. There are people in our community that need help. They need assistance. The community doesn't have anything. So you have to do, the institution that created the ratchetness is the same institution that has to fix it, because it was from that perspective that it was created. You can't, if we have a school and the administration creates chaos, the same degree or the same magnitude to fix that problem has to fix it, just like it was that contingent that created it. The government has created a lot of these problems, and I don't blame them for everything. I do believe in personal responsibility.
Okay.
But before you have the discussion of personal responsibility, you have to look at,
you have to address the systemic issues
is
that come
doing from a system level.
Right.
If you say you got hospitals, but you go over to Roseland and they ain't got no doctors that deal with the diabetes or trauma, when Ben Wilson got killed in the 80s at Simeon, there were no trauma centers on the South Side. They took him to Bernard. He died because there was nobody over there qualified to address the gunshot wound. We still don't have trauma centers on the South Side. They're talking about University of Chicago in another year. But here's an area with all this violence. You got to go out the city to Oak Lawn to get assistance with trauma. Or you got to go all the way to the west side. What is it? What's the hospital on the west side? The big hospital. Cook County.
I thought that new part of St. Bernard was a trauma center.
No. The only trauma center, all the trauma centers on the south and west side were closed.
So what's the new part? What's the new part of the St. Bernard they just built?
I don't know. But
that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the trauma
center was at, the new one on the south side was announced 2 years ago at University of Chicago. It hasn't opened yet.
They take shot victims at the University of Chicago.
No, I'm not just saying take, but I'm saying specifically, you got the highest.
You get shot, you go there.
You got the highest outburst of shooting in the history of Chicago. We living in it.
They said it every year.
Now they just got one center.
You are right. You are right. They used to do that.
We need a trauma center, and these are professionals. That's what they do.
You are right. They do that, but you know what I'm saying?
Long before it got to this point, they knew what was needed. They killed. What's the hospital on 51st? Provident? Was it called Provident? Mm-hmm. With Dr. Daniel Hill? That used to be one years ago. They shut that down. They shut down Michael Reese. They Jackson Park, Hyde Park, Bernard. They took all of that stuff out of there years ago. And nobody said nothing. So now we are today with all this chaos and confusion, and you got these self-proclaimed fake heroes talking about, well, this is what I did for the community. Yeah. What did you do?
Watch it all get torn apart. But you definitely said something that resonated with me regarding because everything you're saying here is more or less
I live
speaking, yeah, of course you lived it, but it's all speaking to like the systemic or the systems that kind of came into place to essentially lay out the foundation for our kids, for our young Black Americans to essentially make do with, right? So, and when these kids are literally are playing in this this mess of a foundation, it's easy to see why we would how they would turn to going downtown and causing ruckuses and stuff like that because there's a rage because they have no other way of expressing themselves. There's no other fight that they can there's no other way for them to fight because they have they have no economic power. They have no power within the confines of the communities. There's all they have to do. All they have is their fists and their rage, right? So it's obviously they're gonna use that to their best benefit because that's the only advantage they have over other people. So, but one thing I did want to bring some attention to was just that, right? This angst, this anxiety, this anger, this fear. All of this is that's going on. That's not being that I would say is going unchecked, and essentially is slipping out of our hands. And if we don't address this issue of the mental health, then it's only gonna get worse. So here's a video from some young ladies on the Millennials podcast, and they have something to say regarding parents and their ability to essentially navigate the minds of their children.
It's really frustrating even to this day and age to hear people say, well, there's no like manual or book on parenting. And it's like, actually there kind of is. It's known to psychology. We've been studying parenting and outcomes in human development, emotionally, psychologically, and behaviorally for hundreds of years now. Just say you don't want to look it up. Just say you don't want to work on yourself. Don't go around saying, oh, I didn't know this. Well, no, you could know this if you are willing to seek the information. And you're right that people should really do a significant amount of self-work before having children. Of course, self-work and self-discovery is truly a lifelong, endeavor. It's something we continuously do. But there's a certain amount of work you have to do on yourself, especially in the areas of emotional intelligence and emotional regulation before you have children.
What she's more or less speaking to is the self work necessary to the pre self work necessary to that people should go about doing before they have kids, right? And this is just the difficult part about being Black because we have to struggle with I would argue to be an enhanced version of these mental health declines and mental health struggles because we're not just dealing with being normal human beings, right? I would say that these young ladies are more so speaking to like the general woes of like mental health and stuff like that, and the things that people are kind of overlooking, or the older generation was kind of overlooking, and in combination with that, all the many things that you kind of laid out to be as part of like the problems that we have just in dealing with being Black. You know what I mean? Just imagine what like these young white kids are kind of been going through, the angst and the anxieties and like all, and what had the pathology from them coming from born with a silver spoon in your mouth to shooting up schools, and looking at that side by side with what Black kids have to go through, and the pathology that they that they have to essentially combat with in order to come up to a situation where they have to gun somebody down just for something to eat. You know what I mean? Or
it's no comparison.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not a comparison, but it's
what the sisters were talking about. And I'm not trying to dominate the conversation. Those are issues, personal responsibility that. Again, that's a private in-house conversation. What people try to do when they talk about these situations that we're addressing is they want to convolute the issue and mix the two. They are two separate conversations. Black people didn't wake up one day, fall out the sky, and become retarded and decide to only be poor and live in the ghetto. Human beings are creatures creatures of habit. We imitate what the society has put before us. Black people are really white people because we're in this society, so we imitate it. Now we bring our own flavor to it.
Wait, what?
We bring our own flavor to it.
Listen to him.
And that accounts for the cultural differences. I don't listen to 97.9 The Loop. I'll listen to V103. That's the cultural differences. But we basically, because that's how this society set up, we only know the United States of America. So we only know how to live from a cultural, literal perspective, what the United States has said, how we should live in society. If everybody went to Jamaica or England or Russia or whatever, we would be out of place because we're not connected to that culture or that heritage. We are Americans.
Yeah.
So what our society has done to us more than any other ethnic group is be constrictive, oppressive.
I mean, but we can adapt.
I'm still.
We've been adapting, but how good have we been at adapting?
I'm still stuck on white people. I mean, black people are essentially white people.
No, what I said was the example culturally, in order to function in America,
and that makes no sense.
You got to go to school, you got to go to work. That's what everybody in the country
that's
does.
what white people do.
What they have done in our neighborhood is took all the resources out. So we do the same thing in terms of, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like a white boy. Mm-hmm. I go to Target, I go to Walmart, I go to whatever. That's what I mean by society. So, we do the same
right,
thing.
Because black people are chasing patriarchy.
No, that's the society.
And the society is patriarchy.
But that's how we live.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So you're making my
black.
point.
That's what I'm. Right. I got you. And we in a patriarchal society, and black men are chasing the patriarchal position of white people.
I want to interject on that just a sad bit. Yes, it is a patriarchal society, but this patriarchal society is, how do I word this? Its primary center focus is white people. You know what I mean? So we can say it's a patriarchal system, but the only people that truly benefit from this patriarchal system is primarily the white folks, but it's also you can argue to say men in general, but it's more so whoever's at the top of the capital fight. You know what I mean? The people at the top economically are the people who the system is built for. But at the same time, the way the land was, I mean, that's just today. Now, the way it was laid out, the foundation of it all, especially going into slavery also. I would say from slavery up until, I mean, everything you were just talking about, all of that center focus was literally the white man. Now they're trying to make it a little bit more wide. They trying to say anybody that can, because like I said, now women can now work. Anybody can go from rags to riches is what they try to advertise it as, right? But at the same time, I can't necessarily say that it's a patriarchal system when it's really when capitalism is just the victor goes to whoever can reach the heights. Now I will say that the people that have gotten the leg up in the situation, the foundation of it all is essentially set up for the white man to create to be like this, to reach the top before anybody else. You know what I'm trying to say? But as it's supposed to be, as how it's advertised today, anybody, you know what I'm saying, can reach the top of this. But essentially, that's what I gotta say. That's why I got to kick against it being because, like I said, when you say patriarchal, we're talking about something that's focused on men and men alone. But black men have been trying to be this capitalistic mogul. We've been trying. And we have become that multiple times. But like due to the foundation being as skewed and biased as it has been, we've gotten to these points multiple times, but it's been literally stripped from us by way of racism. You know what I mean? Or not when I say racism, I don't mean to say
you can say white supremacy.
white supremacy. But it's I want to be more specific than that because people still don't know what I mean when I say that. I'm talking about like literal the literal economic structure that was created to literally strip economic money. I mean economics, but money and resources from black people. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it is. I understand what you're saying when you say patriarchal, but this patriarchal system isn't one that black men were able to be a part of. Not to the avail of like the dominant white society, right?
Because white women have gotten more corporate positions than black men.
I mean,
that's documented,
and
I mean,
even
that's what
that's documented.
That's what
it's not
come on, what is it called?
affirmative action.
That's it. That's what that was.
But affirmative action
that's not
more white women than
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We ain't even benefited. We haven't benefited. What for clarification, she's correct about the patriarchal because you look at Congress, you look at corporations, all white males.
Exactly, but that's what. But
how does that happen?
It's okay. You know what? I'm gonna say like,
and what I'm saying is, black men chase the power that patriarchy gives white men.
Because that's
we can't have it. But you can't because it's not for you.
Yes,
and that's what messed up a whole lot of our society in the first place.
But it was based on lies though too.
Society up is the unfair distribution of the wealth through racism. Racism, white folks control better than 90% of everything.
And mind you, when we say racism, we're not talking about I don't like that person because of race. Wait,
prejudice.
Yeah, we're not talking about prejudice.
Because you're female. I hate you because you
light skin. Right.
Racism is a system. It's your boy Dr. Claude Anderson talks about it being a race to take control of all of the wealth.
Boy,
we don't own nothing.
You got that right.
It ain't a toilet paper factory that any combination. Black farmers, they took all that stuff under Clinton. We own nothing. Barely ourselves.
We ain't trying to own nothing either.
No, that's not true. There are, but what they do, and that's the magic of media. You can through propaganda make it appear like we the dumbest son of a something on the planet, and we're not. We are an exceptionally creative people, but nobody voices. If you watch 10 o'clock news tonight or whatever, it's always negative. And it's been that way since I've been on the planet. But even when you have a brutal situation like with the police, and George Floyd was not an anomaly, that was normal. The media always tries to portray, they'll do a story. I've seen it every time, even with the George Floyd and all these other police brutality. They always show, like at the end of the newscast on the network news, they show policemen playing basketball with these little
kids.
Or policemen
connecting with the people and all that.
They gotta always protect their humanity. But for the brothers, they dig up every negative, horrific, even if it don't apply. They did it with George Floyd. They did it with the brother down there in Louisiana. They did it with the one out here in Calumet City. They got, Laquan McDonald was on drugs. But why you shoot him 16 times?
That don't matter. Why you so drunk?
Ooh, bars.
Yep.
So we're never portrayed as human. Even Hollywood did it. I remember sitting in high school one day and they were talking about classic, historic civilization. Everything was white. They talked about us. The label was primitive.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you is the reason, like with Hollywood movies, they can call John Wayne and all those hateful individuals classic because they didn't allow us an opportunity to act. So how do you just, in your arrogance, say this is what is considered classical and you denied a whole segment of the population an opportunity to even participate? That's bold.
Yeah.
And that's power.
That's power.
And that's what they do.
Exactly.
Hell, that's just like I just found out that black people created hockey.
Yeah.
They were the creators.
Yeah. But
then were banned from playing it.
Did you see that on the 6 o'clock news as a revelation during Black History Month? No, you did not.
I don't see nothing on nowhere when it's Black History Month. But I know that in March the river turn green.
All right.
I know that,
we paying for that.
I know that between 2 and 6, I better not try to go down Western because it's blocked off.
But see, that's exactly the essence of what we're talking about. That has been our life in this country. That's been our, as much as we have contributed, even a lot of us don't know. I'm learning stuff about contribution. Central Park in New York.
Yeah.
Central Park in New York was called Seneca Village. It was a black community, and it basically was white folks didn't want black folks living with, so they forced all of us in New York City to live in what is now Central Park. But when they wanted to build a park in that part of Manhattan, they just came in, kicked them folks out, I mean, day and night, without warning. And nobody said anything.
That's just like, I didn't know that that church, that Baptist church on the side of the red line, I didn't know that they picked it up and moved it.
Because they don't want you to know.
Pick that up and move it. What
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Just like he talking about, they moved the people out of Seneca Village.
They literally lifted the church
where the E-way is 94. That was people's houses. It's a church. I don't know where. I think it's like between 39th. It's between 39th and before you get to 55th. You will see it's big as hell. You can't miss it. It used to be where the E-way is, and they picked it up and moved it.
But
isn't that amazing?
And I got another one. Where the Dan Ryan is.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was the heart of the black.
That's what this church is. I mean, it's still there. They just picked it up and moved it. It's on the side. It's on the side of the E-way now.
Yeah.
Built the Dan Ryan. Same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, y'all talking about when they tore down black communities.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Urban renewal.
Because they were basically this is Old Man's Daly's era. Richard R. Daley, who was horrible. They tried to keep us. There were several borders of the black community. It was originally State Street, where the Dan Ryan is.
Yeah.
Then it went to Halsted. Then it went to Ashland. And then it was Western. But the population kept growing as far as blacks coming up because we came for the jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I want you to back up some. We couldn't go east or we couldn't go west?
We could not go west and we could not go south of 63rd Street. I didn't mention that.
Okay, thanks, because I was
63rd
confused.
Street,
I didn't know what we
were.
were.
Where the Blackstone Rangers started.
Yeah.
South of 63rd was the Italians.
Yeah.
And you can YouTube it. You could Google it.
For anybody that don't know, Chicago is like the most segregated city
to this day
ever in
Worse than Boston.
America.
Worse than Boston.
The Blackstone Rangers were a group when they initially started protecting black folks who had to work and come through those areas south of 63rd Street and were attacked. You got several houses that when we finally did, they set them on fire. And nobody said nothing. This went on in every city for generations. We could have the money. I got a document right now in my possession in Old Town, and that document says verbatim, no property where Cooley High used to be, it's on that very block.
I just saw that
No
movie.
property is to be sold, we'll call it Negroes, ever. I got the document. That's from the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So if you had the money, you couldn't.
That property.
That's like you ever seen that movie called The Banker?
Yeah, I saw the bank. Yep. He had to use the white dude.
He had the black dude was the one with the money for real, but he had to use the white guy because he needed his face because they wouldn't sell to him.
Absolutely. And so if you look at from an economic standpoint, the money which is in the multiple billion, Ta-Nehisi Coates talks about this incredibly. The money that they have stolen just in Chicago is multiple billions that they owe black people.
Yeah.
That denied us the opportunities. You go drive through communities like Burr Ridge or Wheaton, Naperville. All of that stuff came directly out of what was called the Homestead Act 1 and 2 and the GI Bills 1 and 2. What they did when them boys came in back from the war, They gave them money
Yeah.
to buy these properties that you see out in these areas. If you take Roosevelt Road out there by DuPage County, most of those businesses used to be on the west side of Chicago. But they hated us so much that they took everything out there and left the city, the west side as it. They did the same thing with Gary.
Yeah, like
Most people go to Gary today and they be like tripping. But what they don't know is Hatcher, who was the first black mayor of a major city, when he won,
they got up, they got their stuff and left.
folks got out and built Maryville. Maryville did not exist.
They
in the
just
70s.
leave and go build another community.
So
They
that
went and built a whole city and took all the resources and all the money.
Yeah.
And so Hatcher didn't have, same thing happened in Detroit.
so much
Same
for
thing happened in DC.
so much for integration, right? When like this whole idea of integration was for all of us to essentially pit our money
I
together.
spend my money at your shop, you spend your
Integration
money.
was the worst thing that ever happened to black
Well,
people.
we gonna get to that. We gonna get to that. Like I said, this concept of integration was supposed to be functional. It was supposed to be right. But the problem is, there was a large group of people that wasn't ready for that conversation. And then when black folks leave, with black folks, ready. Okay, let's get part of this money. Well, look what happened. They took their ball and left, and then like, well, damn, we ain't got no ball to play with no more. You know what I'm saying? But
Integration wasn't about money.
it wasn't just about money, but the most important thing that was stripped from us was the economics.
I'm saying integration wasn't about money. That wasn't why they was fighting for integration.
Speak on it then.
They was fighting for integration because they wanted to be with white women. What you want?
That's a hot take.
Talk about?
That's a hot take.
Because we can talk about it now. Because all of these laws that we flipped, then they being overturned, except for that one where the black men can marry white women. They ain't touched that one.
Look at your boy.
We ain't even talked about that one. The Roe versus Wade flipped it. All this stuff that was for the black people, it's being overturned, except that one. You didn't even know that was in there.
It's a power move. It's like,
and it goes back to that patriarchy thing where where black men want to chase the power of white men, so they want the white woman.
well, I don't know if they want white women so much.
They feel like it's a trophy status. It's top tier.
Yeah,
for some reason they're better than us. That gets them to a higher level.
That element does exist, but this is about fairness with the wealth, with the economics. Because what has never happened for us as a people, I don't care what you pick the state, they have never been fair, and they know it, but they're going around the world preaching human rights and democracy, and they never gave us 40 acres and a mule.
You still not a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how
You're still not a person. You have civil rights. But you are not a person. You saw those air quotations.
That's a whole nother talk
Look,
show.
I got time.
Like, to me, when you look at our young people, I would never advocate the foolishness that happened with that group that went downtown and was tearing up cars and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating any of that, okay? But the rage that they express is because they understand that they are not a priority by even some of us.
They also
Some
understand
of
that
us
talking
be
don't
hating.
work.
I'm sorry, they do what?
They also understand that talking don't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not gonna get out here talking about we shall overcome, be marching. They gonna be killing some of these fools out here. And
they
I
need,
understand all of that.
man.
But we have to be.
We have to guide them, man. We
have to
can't
be
just
strategic.
we can't. That's one. Yes, they're angry. It's like I said earlier. They have the angst. They have the pent up aggression. They have no money. They already have it.
They have no love. They
All
have
of that
no
stuff.
empathy.
And then
So that's on us.
It's on us to essentially take hold, right?
And it's
take,
hard.
and
Some of them are rebellious.
Yeah.
So you got. How do you?
Well, hold on. So that, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, we have to sit down, right, and we have to, like you said, strategize. But the strategy the proper strategy is only gonna come with the empathy, right? And it's gonna have to come with the knowledge of the history and the knowledge of the foundation, and let them set them up so that they don't make the same mistakes we have made, don't make the same mistakes that we kind of foresaw and opted out of. What I'm trying to say is the conversation that these ladies are trying to bring up as far as psychological and having conversations regarding like the mental instabilities and stuff like that. We had like those things need to be addressed, because if we don't have these foundational conversations regarding these children's mental health, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna continue to be rebellious. They're gonna continue not to listen, and they're gonna continue to try to get things done the way that they want to get them done. You know what I mean? But it's gonna take a collaborative effort from not just the ferocity with their youth, but also the wisdom that comes with our ages. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's a collaborative effort.
It's a reality check that I don't think, and this is just a personal opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think still a significant number in our community realizes what you said. You have all these sororities. You have all these all-class reunion high schools. You have all these black professionals, and on and on and on and on and on. None of them, they'll wait for the holiday and they'll collect a gift basket at Thanksgiving and say they doing community service, or saying they mentor, or we gave $1,500 so so-and-so could go to school. But the need for our young people goes way deeper than that, much deeper than that. Like Jim Thompson, who the Thompson Center is named after downtown, in the 70s, he and the Republicans shut down all of the mental institutions in the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois and just dumped them people on the streets. So you have this amalgamation, if you will, of these people who can function part of the day or a little bit of the day now fuse in our community on top of all the other insanity that's going on, simply so some white boys could steal these federal dollars, which is what they did.
Yeah.
And do what they do. Nobody investigated in the media. All of the checks and balances that the federal government were killed by Ronald Reagan, nobody's checking on nothing. They're just letting these white boys. The reason they tore down the projects was because so much money was stolen. It's nothing
stolen.
Wrong. A high rise is a high rise. You got 26 miles of high rises on the lakefront. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about shutting down nothing because the infrastructure is there.
That's true.
What they did at CH8 is
some of them high rises still there. Yeah, on 22nd Street, they still there.
Yes, but what they did with the ones that were tore down, they let these white boys from Winnetka and the western suburbs get these humongous contracts and never did the work. Elevator be broke for months at a time. Sister got to walk up 15 flights of stairs. You had a concentration, the way they concentrated our people in them buildings, and it was like rats in a maze. Right. And what do rats do when you constrict their movement like that? They go crazy. Then they decide, because they wanted to now give some other white boys opportunity to make millions of dollars developing their property, they just dumped all that chaos on the community. No filters. And our communities are not prepared to deal with that stuff that they created. You got to deal with it from a federal level because a federal level created it. Everybody that's in those positions knows this. You don't need no studies. You don't need nothing but them to get down there and correct the problem they created. Our lives are valuable.
Yeah.
It should be. The same God created these white boys created us.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yeah. It's like the problem is the only people that really care is going to care about us is us. You know what I'm saying? The government not going to.
Well, we got our work cut out for us.
Absolutely.
So I just want to piggyback up off what you said. You said that we need to guide them. And I don't think that we really need to guide them. I think that it's a path that we all need to walk down together. Because the issue with guiding is like we kind of tell people what to do, and then that don't always work out. So like, the generation before us was guiding us into college, and that didn't really pan out the way that they thought it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So like, I'm saying, you can't guide people when you don't know what's going on either.
Yeah. I mean, that's why
I think that point is understood, but I think you always need guidance.
So I understand what you mean by saying like there has been a failure in the guidance and stuff like that, especially when it comes to us. But the reason I think this time is different is because look around you, right? All of this, we can this age of information, like this we don't get our information from like books. I mean, like, well, some of us do obviously, but like information it can come at it can come just like that. Like the way of which we can communicate is like more robust and more it's better now more than ever. You know what I mean? So like sharing information from I mean even you can like even kids going up and swiping TikTok can like learn so much about like different types of systemic structures from the grant from like the very foundational level much more though so that a lot of people in his generation even got exposed to. Like you say you still learning things today, right?
I learn every day.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
I mean, that's just common. You know, nobody knows everything.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I feel like we need to be walking down the path together instead of us
No,
trying to
no,
take
no.
the reins
Okay,
and be
okay.
leading.
You can't do that.
no, that's so I'm not saying yeah. I'm not saying hold on. I'm not saying that we tell them like we give them guidance, let them do it by themselves. No, that doesn't. Of course, that doesn't make any sense. What I'm saying is we're gonna have to. When I say we're passing down the torch, I'm still holding the torch. He's still holding the torch. But the thing is, with our torch, we can only do so much with our own very lives and stuff, right? So that when it's time for those kids to start to hold the torch for real, for them to carry the bulk of the load, right? That they will be instilled with the proper knowledge and I mean, everything that we know is supposed to be funneled down to the lower generations. And then with this being the age of information, the generation of information, we should be given like they should be like super ready. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, so by the time that they're ready to take office, for them to take hold of the communities and establish these businesses and stuff like that, they will have an understanding that okay, hey, we need love for our people. We need love for the women. We need to cherish the community. We need to practice group economics and stuff like that because our generation wasn't taught really fuck with group economics like that. We were just told to go out there and make it the best of what we can. But when we're giving these kids like the I mean, of course, everybody essentially gonna do what they want to do, obviously. But the thing is, if you at least drop the seeds a lot of the time, it can at least move like the Overton window to the side of like productivity and progression as opposed to just individualized successes, which eventually lead into I mean, where we landed today, failures. And people we have a long history of building these businesses up. And then by the time we die, we sell off to the white man. You know what I'm saying? But had we sold that business for a smaller price to another black person, that money would have stayed in the community, and that wealth would have been distributed equally within the confines of that town and essentially black people. Like does that make sense, or like did that answer your question, or? How you feel about that?
I was gonna say I didn't ask a question, but
no, I'm just not okay. I'm sorry. I was trying to bring clarification as far as why we should be giving why we should be passing on the torch, right? Why we should be guiding the younger generation. You know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, I think what you're trying to say is you're trying to guide people, but we don't all have the answers to guide anybody. So by you trying to guide them, most times it's like you go back to the saying, blind leading the blind. You think you can see, but you really can't see because you're still learning. You're still growing. So how, you can't really, that's why she said we should walk together because we were so far behind. We are trying to catch up at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you are not gonna hear me
walk together. You have to. That's what makes.
Well, let me clarify what I was saying real quick before you because you come on with the hot take. I'm agreeing with y'all. I'm not saying that we need to be going. I think I said this already, but I'm not saying that we just give them the torch and then we go to sleep. This for as long as if you're black, if you're in America, and if you're alive, you need to be fighting. You need to be contributing to something. You know what I'm saying? So when I say walk together, yes, we're gonna walk together, but we need to be teaching these kids and guiding them right for what the proper path actually is. Does that make sense? How does that sound? Isn't that walking together?
That ain't what you said at first.
No.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, this is why this is what I'm saying now. I'm clearing it up. What does that make sense now? When I fixed it?
Because what I was saying was walking together, us doing it together, and what you were saying originally was we supposed to guide them.
Well, when you say God, okay, let's talk about God for a moment. Then, when I say God, are you saying that I'm holding them by the hand and then I'm walking them along and then they just trailing behind me? What do you mean by that?
I'm saying what I said was, so the generation before us, they guided us into having higher education. Higher education is how you make it in life. Get a degree and you're going to be this, and this, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and it didn't work.
Yeah, of course.
That wasn't what it was.
Right. But we know better than that now, right?
Right. We know some stuff better.
Right.
So we don't know everything. And some stuff the younger generation know better than us. Which is why we should not be guiding anybody. We should be walking the line together because they can help us and we can help them. Nobody is more above the other one. Yeah. We all learning together.
We are all learning.
We unlearning stuff that the generation before us taught us.
It's all subjective. What I mean by that is we generally should be knowing more than the standard 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Me, like, just taking me for, well, I'm not gonna take me for, obviously me as an individual knows now way more than what I did back then. But all I'm just trying to say is, yes, of course, it's a collaborative effort, and of course, these kids can teach us. When David came over, I showed him all this stuff, showed him how some of this stuff he's never even seen before. You know what I'm saying? So of course, there's gonna be some things that I'm gonna be able to teach him that he didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But everything, but just listening to it right now, how you just led the conversation. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I learned quite a bit. You know what I'm saying? He's essentially passing down information.
Right, and I get that. And so from that collective, what I see is us walking together. I don't see him guiding us anywhere in this conversation. Okay. I see us all having our equal input.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I'm just gonna say the only reason I said guiding is because I was under the pretense that younger people know less and essentially can contribute less than the older generations.
But that's not always it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's why it's subjective. That's why I said in general. But obviously, there's gonna be outliers. But I'm okay with admitting that.
You haven't been in spaces where you smarter than people that's older than you.
I mean, again, no. I mean, I'm not saying I'm really agreeing with you. All I'm trying to say is, in general, that's the likelihood. But however, of course, there's gonna be situations where, and I just excited one. He doesn't know anything about a lot of this stuff that's in this room, and I taught him. So yeah, of course, there's gonna be some things where I can teach older generation of people, and there's gonna be things that the kids are gonna teach me. But I'm not. So maybe I can find a better word than guiding. You know what I'm saying? I will say this is definitely a collaborative effort. So I will concede to say that.
Like walking together.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So, did you have something to add to that, David?
I don't think. I think it's what you said. It has to be subjective because, and I'll use example with my mentoring crew. Like, I took some shorties to breakfast, seniors and juniors, and they didn't know how to use a knife and a fork. So when I saw it, it kind of shocked me because I'm like, how you get? But that's an issue at home, and other variables that cause a 17, 18-year-old not to know how to use a knife and a fork. How does that happen in this day and age? I took a 19-year-old, been in Chicago all his life, never been downtown. How does that happen?
I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people like that. That's just some people don't go as far as their neighborhood.
But the question is,
what's downtown?
How does that?
It's just simple fact.
How does that thought even become a reality? If I'm from a spot, how is the only thing I know about is my hood? If I'm from wherever, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, how is it that my life is only this city block? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because that is so restrictive and that is so limiting, such that when, like, I took another group downtown, and this was, you know how young people got the energy and real active. Mm-hmm. But when we went in the setting downtown, it was quiet. Because they was in a place they had never been before, and you could see a certain amount of uncomfortable because they weren't used to being in this setting. So before you can even dialogue about what you were talking about, how we got to talk to young people, they got to be disciplined and given a structure to be comfortable to even hear what we talking about. If I'm teaching a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old how to use a knife and fork, there's some basic issues that they got to be guided on. Yeah, somebody got to teach them. Now, when we talking about the quality of life in this neighborhood right here, for example, we don't want this, we don't want that, because we want a certain quality of life for when I have a shorty and they can go out and play and I ain't got to be worried about gunshots, woo-wah-woo. That's where we walk hand in hand as a unified force.
But we need to set the foundation first.
Shorty's got to be guided. That was my problem with, for lack of better example, Dwayne Wade and his decision with his 12-year-old. Mm-hmm. He's a child. He doesn't know. He's got 12 years on this planet. That's all the experience he got, which is nothing. What a lot of us do is go out there. I know one example on my block. It was tragic. The mama, she only dated dope boys. All of them. She had a baby by 3 different dope boys. All of them in the joint right now. But her son, well, one of her sons, who was actually in jail at the same time his daddy was, got killed. And I remember this incident like it was just yesterday. They were breaking in this house, empty house across the street. So I went and got him because he was a little shorty. He was with his boys. And I went and told her, say, hey, y'all need to go get little so-and-so, woo-wah-woo. He's over here with these dudes who was leading them that way. So they ran and got her before she could get out there. But she told me in the door, and this was her statement, if the nigga want to get locked up, then so be it. And she slammed the door in my face. Well, I'm like, this ain't my child. I don't know where they ran. But anyway, make a long story short, they came back. It was Monday Night Football. They came back later with 3 females. They broke in the house from the back and went up in the attic and was having sex. The neighbor saw him and called the cops. Brought him out butt-ass naked. She was in the window. And I remember going out to the front and just to see, I didn't know what was going on. I just saw the lights flashing in my window. I went to see what's going on. It was 17 police cars. They brought them out butt-ass naked in front of everybody. You know what she did? She hollered and cussed at the police. She didn't even come out and see her own son, greet her own son.
Yeah. Accountability.
She let him have that experience, and he was killed last year, Father's Day.
Yeah. I want to have a brief conversation about what y'all consider to be the influencers of this generation of kids and what's essentially led them to make a decision they have to make these days.
I mean, you got to go off your environment. Your environment set up the situations.
This pretty much leads to everything this whole conversation been about. Like the foundation that was being set by the government, by the men of our community, you know what I'm saying, and within some of the things, and the mothers that raised them, right? So it's like a failure on all fronts. But I would say at the very foundation, all of this was set up by a specific group of people, so that another group of people won't even have a fighting chance. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the system. The like gentleman said, the system is doing what it's designed to do. I don't
really.
Yes.
To pedestalize the white patriarchy, you would say, or
it's producing exactly what is designed to produce. If you want a young person in the hood to get down the way you see in these white areas, then they got to have the same resources, the same teachers, the same everything. You can't have this disparity.
True.
I was an algebra tutor at Simeon when Derrick Rose was there. Today, the average shorty that graduates from Simeon Vocational or whatever it's called comes out with a 3rd grade math level.
Third.
So what the city of Chicago does is make up numbers. They're graduating most, better than 92% of the graduates in Chicago public schools graduate with a 3rd and 4th grade math level. Can't read, can't comprehend. They can't do algebra. They can't do calculus because they've never seen it. So they get in, those that get into the schools when they compete, they can't.
That's influence.
So they may be an A and B student in the Chi, but the Chi is putting out 3rd and 4th and just pass them along. They did the same thing with the charter school. They don't expose our children to nothing. That's why they don't know. So what happens to you? Because I experienced the same trauma when I went to school. You get frustrated. You get angry. Because in our society, well, you on your own. You a man. You supposed to make the right choices. Da-da-da-da-da-da. But have you been on a historically black college campus and see what really gets down out there? Have you been at a Christian school and see how they get down at the college level? The peer pressure is unbelievable. And if you've never been in that setting, be careful how you cast that stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of intelligent, and our children are some of the most brilliant, creative individuals out there. They just need an opportunity. It doesn't exist in the public schools. I don't care what none of them folks say. I was with Mayor Lightfoot at Lindblom when she first got in office, had the town hall meeting in the heart of Inglewood. They asked 30 questions. They let 27 Hispanic kids ask the questions and 3 from Lindblom.
Excuse me? 3?
I didn't stutter. That's what's going on in our city.
Yeah.
But because we're not involved,
integration,
we're not there guiding, they get away with this foolishness. And a lot of us, and I know there's some bad shorties, but most of them is good. They just need an opportunity. And
if they not given that opportunity, guess what happens?
This is what they do. They go downtown and tear up.
Exactly.
They piss on the L. Disrespect you and me walking down the street. That's what they teach.
The heightened sense of peer pressure exposed to them by way of social media, everyday children, teens, exposed to the haves and have-nots of themselves. Yep. If left unattended, the results may vary, and it's usually a bad thing. Obviously, I don't care nobody say. The reason I'm having this podcast is because I believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? And of all of my shows that I'm gonna have, I want to have a small section dedicated to what y'all believe to be the solutions regarding this conundrum, this exorbitant problem that is the foundation that's been set in place to see our children fail.
Oh, I mean, first maybe we gotta try to look at them as people first and not as a problem. Because I mean, if all you doing is saying that I'm a problem, then I mean, what else am I gonna be?
Problem.
I like you. Y'all know, y'all familiar with Brandon Johnson. I like what Brandon Johnson said about those kids downtown. He said that what he said was, we can't blame the kids because the kids are more or less a product of the environment that we created, right? So they're not the one. They have nothing else to do. So had we had done what we were supposed to do as adults, right, and guided them properly and gave them things that they could have been able to condition their time with or fill their time up with, they wouldn't be downtown causing a ruckus, right?
I mean, maybe open up some of these, maybe, some of these community leaders or, I mean, G Herbo, he bought a school. He be using it for stuff. Get these kids. I mean, a lot of stuff is happening at night. Get export open all night because people trying to hoop. Yep. Let them open up one of these schools and let it be a 24-hour center, and I'm sure it'll be a lot more people off the street.
Big facts.
Men need to learn a trade. They need
sir. Real quick, I don't want to kill you too bad, but what you just said about the leaving these schools open 24/7 or leaving these YMCAs and all these other centers open 24/7, let these kids hoop. Also, put those other systems in, like those these trade programs and all this stuff. Like, just get kind of expound and map things outside of basketball,
because
right?
the school is huge. It's classrooms in there. Every classroom could be something different. Hell, you could have, and not even just men. These young ladies need some damn resources. They need to learn how to cook. And first off, not just ladies, because cooking and cleaning, that is a basic human need. Everybody needs to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Home economics needs to be back in the schools.
Yeah,
They took all that out.
Actually, again, they still have it in white schools, though. They still have it in white schools.
But we ain't.
As an elective, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, they still have the opportunity to take cooking classes.
I mean, it's in some black schools. I mean, it's still at Hyde Park. It's still at CVS. It's still at a lot of schools. But I mean, not only that, but we need to be taking the opportunities as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's opportunities that we have presented to us, and a lot of times we just don't take them.
Yeah.
But you can present somebody with a so-called opportunity. But if I've lived a life to never recognize an opportunity, I'll never know that that's an opportunity. And that's a reality that you're...
That's true.
CVS, when I was in high school, CVS had over almost 6,000 students. I got the newspaper article right now. They got 731 kids at that school.
Yeah, that's a dramatic.
They had 39 trades. All of it's gone.
Gotcha. All right. I think that was... so, basically, yeah, I mean, that looked pretty good to me. I don't think that's like too much to ask. In my opinion, all we gotta do is get out there and get a part of these, become a part of these grassroots organizations, and ask these questions, get the conversation going to get things done. You know what I'm saying? So, anybody have any closing statements from kind of what we discussed today?
I don't know. I think I'm good.
I'm gonna end with this. I think. This is one of our greatest challenges. It's going to require some genuine, serious love. It's easy to us to sit here and articulate it, but when it comes to putting the work in, because my experience just on the level of mentoring, being a part of what I'm a part of, there are things that break out 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And, people are dealing with what they're dealing with in their own personal lives. And now you're asking me to deal with somebody else's responsibility. Sometimes the empathy and the love ain't there, but I think we have to do it in order to save our youth because it's worth saving.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Full agreement. Because fact of the matter is, if nothing is done and we all are essentially left with our own devices, right? All these distractions, and it's trying to even though we're trying to put food on the table so we can feed those kids. If nothing is gonna happen and we fail to lead our children to a path of success, they're gonna lead into the most profitable form of slavery ever. And that's the prison system. Feel me?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'll catch you on the flip side, man. It's been Black Delegation. It's been real.